Hey guys, Dr. Prometheus here. This is my franchise reveal for Madden 23. Looked at a couple of teams this season. We looked at maybe the Broncos, maybe the Chargers, but Chargers are a heavy favorite in the division to compete with the Chiefs. We've done one with the Colts and the newly dubbed Commanders and the Eagles and the Dolphins. So without further ado, our Madden 23 franchise is the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a team that you might think, after making the playoffs a couple times, or actually only missing the playoffs a couple times in the last decade, and recently having a couple wild card bids, that this is a team that doesn't need a lot of attention to really compete. I mean, this is a team that should compete for a wild card this season with TJ Watt. Cameron Hayward's up there as well, just in age, but then you have Mika Fitzpatrick, the highest paid safety this past offseason with a contract. But we're going to have a couple storylines in this. Big Ben retires. Mike Tomlin also retires in that, so we'll be taking over the team pretty much from scratch as a new head coach. And we have a lot to really think. Now, this is a team that struggled against the run, added some key pieces there to try to stuff the run and get better in that category. But really, we're coming in, we're a division where you have Nick Chubb, who's just gonna run all over on us. Watson will be out for the first 12 weeks, so we're not going to be dealing with Deshaun Watson all that much. You have to worry about the run game that they have in Baltimore as well with Lamar Jackson and company. And then you also have to worry about Joe Burrow and that crazy good offense that the Bengals have, who's looking for revenge to get back into the Super Bowl and win that one. We're going to be taking Graham Bryant. If you don't remember, Graham Bryant is a left outside linebacker, played a little off ball, but also a pass rush in our Eagles franchise last year. So he's going to be the one taking the reins of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this one is also going to be very difficult because we have a lot of talent in the AFC as a whole competing for those wild card spots. It's really possible that all the wild card spots come out of the AFC West with how good the Chiefs have gotten. Not really how good they've gotten, but how they've been able to actually maintain how good they've been with Patrick Mahomes. And can take a step back in the receiver core wise, but we'll see what he can do with those guys. You have Russell Wilson, who was traded over to Denver. Big moves there. Of course, as always, the Chargers pretty much giving the Chiefs a run for their money here and there, ultimately falling short. And then also the Raiders with that ground and pound game, but also giving Derek Carr that weapon with Devontae Adams. So the conference as a whole is going to be difficult. The division is going to be difficult as well. So it's not going to be an easy franchise. Without further ado, though, I'm going to give it off, which is technically past me, future me type deal, because I'm recording this. So let's cut on over. So past me or future me, whatever you want to call it, pass it off to me. We are in our Pittsburgh Steelers. It feels great. Our franchise here. We start with the preseason being Seattle, Jacksonville, and Detroit before we start with the team that was in the Super Bowl that arguably should have won off a questionable call, in my opinion, late in the game that went ahead and allowed the Rams to score. But it is the Bengals. But first, we have some housekeeping, some introductions, what's going on with the roster, what I think about the roster. Since Tomlin has opted to retire, or at least move on this season after the retirement of Big Ben. So some big turnover on this lineup. So out is Ben Roethlisberger. On top of that, we also see a couple other retirements here, particularly on the defense. And one of them was none other than I think it's Stephen Tuitt. He retires. He retired late June after the draft, and probably prompted a signing that we'll get in later on the offense. But the biggest one is Big Ben retires. And we have the tragedy of all that we know with, well, can't say enough, Dwayne Haskins. I was kind of on the ropes to begin with to do a franchise with him in the first place with him on the roster. Tragedy strikes in March, and well, we kind of know all about the situation from there. And it prompted a massive change at quarterback. Biggest things before then, though, before the draft and free agency, big signing with the Steelers was that they did retain Micah Fitzpatrick. He is, I believe, the highest paid safety in the league at this point. 89 overall. Talking about a guy they trade over from the Dolphins. At the time, I thought it was kind of not a bad trade by any means, but a meh trade. Kind of the middle of the road. Fitzpatrick did some good things in Miami, but the franchise was plagued with a lot of issues in that Flores era. Flores has now moved over in real life to here. We'll kind of have that idea. He's just a defensive coach. I think he in real life linebackers, I think, or corners. But Fitzpatrick is now the highest paid safety at this point. We'll take a look at his contract, and it is 5 years, $66.72 million with a signing bonus of 17.5. So it's about a 10 or so cap hit. Should be able to see it from this the screen. From this one. Should have just went in this one, because that's smart. So yeah, here's a cap hit, 8.12, and in next year, a lot of the issues with this team is, you think we have cap space. Only this year we have $5 million in cap space right now. Then we go in the next year, and everyone's contract goes massively up. You would think we're going to be in the hole. The Steelers have made it to where their cap space next year is about the same as it is. They are running with $30 million in dead money alone this season. So able to make some moves, but that dead money, it really hampered them to building some big key positions. So Carl Joseph is re-signed also in that one. So I think he played a handful of games last season, is re-signed as a guy that ends up playing behind Terrell Edmonds, a guy we are very familiar with from our Bills franchise. But we have some depth at safety, bringing also Demonte Casey later on in free agency. The biggest highlight, though, with that also is bringing, of course, Levi Wallace comes in, and these corners are not great, but the highlight of the defense, of course, is TJ Watt. We expect him to come in and just dominate in the rush. 27 years old, 5th year out of Wisconsin. His ratings are just absolutely amazing. The guy can do it all, just like his brother JJ Watt. I'm not sure if JJ's still in the league at this point. Last time I remember, he was playing for the Cardinals. So we have him. Miles Jack comes in, and that was one that I thought was pretty good for them to sign. So out goes Joe Schobert. They end up cutting him, voiding his contract from there, and they bring in a man like Miles Jack. Like that is probably a low-key big move here. At 83 overall, sticking him next to Devin Bush. 26 years old. Remember, he came in the league at 20, so still in his prime here. He's got a lot of growth ahead of him at this point. Good speed, good tackling, block shedding, zone, man coverage. I mean, Miles Jack can do it all with him. And then pairing him up with Devin Bush. I mean, the defense really, the biggest takeaways are corner. Safety probably needs to be addressed besides Fitzpatrick. We really have a three-way competition between KZ, Edmonds, and Joseph. And then kind of Killebrew is in that conversation. The corners, just not great. Witherspoon is a guy that they end up keeping on the roster, or I think they end up resigning him. Let's see what his contract is. 2 years remaining, so I mean a smaller contract, only 2.52 and then a 5.48 cap hit. Nothing crazy with that. So I mean, we have some things to kind of evaluate from here. No special corners. Out is Joe Hayden. I mean, at this point, corners are number one need. On the line, we have the longtime vet Cameron Hayward, 33 years old, 11th year in the league. The man is a monster in the interior line. The biggest thing is this contract. A lot of these contracts are absolutely insane. 17.4 for Cameron Hayward, 22.3, and then 22.4. We'll look at these contracts in its entirety, but this is a team that is older in a lot of places. Tyson Alualu needs also some depth behind him, but we need to think about the future even at defensive tackle. Wormley is here. Larry Ogunjobi, a guy that I wish Chicago would have signed in real life, but he failed his physical, ends up coming to back to the AFC North after leaving the Bengals. I mean, Ogunjobi will be a guy that see a lot of up in there. So we have some ability on the defense, but we are on the backside of what is considered an elite defense, especially at corner. We had a lot of things to think about. On offense, a lot of the changes. Out is Juju Smith-Schuster. Out at right guard, we take out, I don't remember who their right guard was, but they end up replacing him with Josh Daniels. Obviously, we all know what happened to Dwayne Haskins. Out is Roethlisberger. Mitchell Trubisky comes in for a small deal in there. And then they go ahead and draft Kenny Pickett. So this is really a questionable thing of what I want to do. Now, Trubisky with his player tag is a bridge QB. So we're not going to have any, even with Kyle Rudolph, I don't think he has any, he's a trade target, or Kyle Rudolph. It's Mason Rudolph. But Pickett in here, I might opt to see what we can do with Rudolph, bring in a third quarterback, and for the first time ever, keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster to help development with a veteran mentor. Biggest thing is, can we find a mentor that wouldn't start? A mentor that kind of just wants to be a mentor. With that draft pick with Kenny Pickett, in comes Pickens as well. In here, George Pickens, the rookie out of Georgia. Real life, the speed, the vertical, the guy is going to be absolutely fantastic. Pretty much just switch in and out him and him and Juju Smith-Schuster, who is over with the Chiefs. Claypool, who made that dumb move last season that probably cost a game for the Steelers, playing around celebrating instead of getting to the line of scrimmage. Do we want to keep on doing like this whole thing with Chase Claypool? I mean, he takes the top off the defense, has good speed, 92. I mean, we could look at Pickens being an all-around guy that kind of floats around on the outside, floats in the slot, has the speed. I mean, we can move him around and things like that. and Deontay Johnson becomes our number one receiver, still with speed. That's the big thing we want to see on this offense is speed. We're going to build around a tough running game with receivers with speed, and that running game starts none other than Najee Harris. So Najee Harris in his technically second year out of Alabama, 24 years old. The guy is an absolute monster. He's going to bail over tackles, has some good speed at 88. I believe also he has good catching as well, 73. So he can catch out of the backfield. A do-it-all back, a power back, has some speed with him. And we are going to have some fun with Najee Harris, superstar. Behind him, you have Blake Snell. And then after that, you don't really have much. So, I mean, Blake Snell. This is Benny Snell. I'm sorry. Third year out of Kentucky. I think he has good... actually, he doesn't have great speed. But if we need something, he's kind of like our... He could be a serviceable backup. I would like some speed, though. I don't think McFarland is maybe the guy here. I mean, 91 speed, but his catching is 62. If we do any play action with the pass block, he's not going to be in there roughing up any rushers if there's a blitz. I mean, we're just not going to see a whole lot of that on him. In real life, Trey Edmonds was actually cut. And, I mean, this is pretty much a mold of Schnell all over again. So maybe we bring in someone in here. Biggest thing though is Pickens coming in, Johnson, Claypool. We need something out of the receivers. Miles Boykin was actually off the waiver wire, so at least nothing had to be traded for him. But a guy that's trying to compete on this roster. The offensive line, there's some questions. Daniels comes in likely because of the fact that him and Trubisky were in Chicago. Chicago didn't want to pay Daniels. Daniels comes over and gets a big contract over here in Pittsburgh. 24 years old. He came in the league when he was 20. I mean, here is our base on the line. This is the guy we build around over the next couple of years at least. But after that, is there anything to really write home about? Mason Cole? I don't see anything spectacular with Mason Cole by any means. We go over, we look at Dotson. Second year in the league. I mean, maybe a guy that we could also build around. I mean, he is a star dev, so at least he'll start increasing. And the tackle, especially left tackle, has some issues. Dan Moore coming in his second year. I mean, good ratings, but I mean, is he really gonna put anyone and protect the back of Trubisky or Pickett? I don't know. Okafor, I think he was re-signed. I don't think he is anything to write home about by any means. So our line is serviceable, but if we come across some elite pass rushers, like we're going to be playing the Bengals. The Bengals have a very good pass rush. We're going to be playing against Myles Garrett over in Cleveland. Garrett is going to demolish these left and right tackles. Whatever side he wants to line up on, he is going to demolish them. I mean, if we go ahead and play up against Khalil Mack, we end up playing the Chargers, Mack is going to dominate us. These elite pass rushers are going to dominate us all day long. And that's going to be a big issue. Protection of Trubisky. He's going to be running for his life again, just like he did in Chicago. And if it's not Trubisky running for his life, it's going to be Pickett running for his life. So at least we have some mobile quarterbacks that can run for their life. Freiermuth comes in, and he was an intriguing guy out of Penn State. Tight end, I think he was not a early round pick by any means. I don't think so. I could be wrong by that. Second round pick, so I am wrong on that. Pick 23. I mean, the guy looks like I mean, this is our tight end for this franchise, period. We are not going to go anywhere else with him. I mean, 6'5", 258, go up and get the ball. Decent speed for a tight end at 80. Good catching, good run blocking, good route running. I mean, this is a guy that's going to go up and get the ball. And maybe we pair him with a guy that maybe has a bit more speed. So we play Freiermuth as the main, and maybe in a 2 tight end set, Freiermuth plays that inside maybe. And we have that more of that speed on the outside. Maybe he actually sets the edge in those 2 tight end schemes. But the guy is going to be fantastic. And after that, we don't really have much to write home about when it comes to tight end. After that, Jay Stormberger is not going to block that very well at all, if any, in a run package. So we're looking at a situation where we need another tight end. We need tackles. Again, we're building an offensive line like we always do in Madden. Quarterback is a big question mark. Since quarterback's a question mark, how do we evaluate these receivers? Are we going to stick Claypool on here? On the defense, corners are a suspect here. We got to think about defensive tackle. Hayward is likely on his way out. Is he going to request a trade? Should we trade him by week 8 if we're not going well? We're good at free safety, but what do we do with strong safety? What do we do with the pass rusher on the other side of Watt? Our middle linebackers are set. And on, like, we have a lot of questions on this roster. And I feel like we're that team that could edge in on a wild card only this first year, only because of the fact that the Browns are not going to have Deshaun Watson the first 11 weeks. And I think we look at how bad this cap situation actually is. So we have some rollover, 7.76 from 2021. Our cap penalty is $30.9 million. So we do have some cap space. 32.9. I thought we didn't have that much. Maybe I was reading the 7.76 was rollover. So we actually do have cap space. Okay. Wait. Madden's cap space is not right. Yeah. Yeah, that number with 218 is wrong. That's why I thought we were in cap space hell. The actual NFL 2022 cap space should be 208, not 218. Come on, EA. Come on. So that still would give us $18 million. Is this really what it is? I thought we didn't have this much space. I could be wrong. I could just be absolutely silly. For whatever reason. Yeah, the Steelers on Sport Track, the Steelers cap space is $6.7 million. I don't know. Maybe there's some contracts that we are missing, or there were some re-signings that were missing in the cap space, which actually helps us. If that's the case, that might actually help us. Okay. We get lucky. We get some extra cap space. Madden wants to be gracious. But look at this. This is absolutely silly. For 2022. Okay, Watt. It's a front-loaded contract in the first year. And that's okay. Hayward is still on contract for 3 more years. 3. This is insane. Three years. That will make him 36. You have to think about paying Devin Bush. What do we do with Sutton? Miles Jack is at least under contract for 2 years. Derek Watt, our fullback. Oops. Looking at the cap hits for next season. Nothing crazy. However, paying our right tackle, Chukwuemeka Okafor, $13 million to be what is possibly a mediocre tackle, that hurts my soul. Mitch is only getting 3.66 million. Next year it's 10.6. So that's gonna hurt a little bit. And then on the flip side, what do we have for people that are starting that don't have contracts? Marcus Allen will give us 2.43 back. We got to pay Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson is going to be a massive contract. I didn't think about that. That is a projected $21 million contract right there with Deontay Johnson. You got to think AJ Brown's getting 25. McLaren's getting 23. That is a massive contract there. And we are going to do realistic contracts for us. So that is going to be absolutely questionable what we're going to do. Alualu's done after this season, so that kind of helps. Our safety, we need to figure out what we're doing there. We're going to have to pay, obviously, Devin Bush. What are we going to do with Sutton? Ogunjobi is on a very veteran nice deal. Like, how much we pay people is going to be absolutely ridiculous. So, I mean, those are the big things. During here, as we start it, let's look at our schedule. Because we should. There it is. Don't mind me. Here's my team schedule here. Again, Seahawks, Jaguars, Lions. And then we go into the regular season. Bengals, Patriots, Browns. Okay. Bills, Bucks, Dolphins, Eagles. So, you gotta deal with Tom Brady. A Bills team that is, well, frankly favored to win the Super Bowl this year. At least we'll deal with the Browns when we won't have to deal with Deshaun Watson. The Patriots are a sneaky good team. A team that was in the Super Bowl. Then we get to take it easy a little bit about 7, 8, maybe week 10, but that's still a difficult game against the Saints. For the Bengals again, deal with Matt Ryan and the Colts. Falcons kind of give us a respite of a terrible team rebuilding. Then we deal with week 14 and week 17. Those are our Ravens games going against Lamar Jackson. Got to deal with Baker Mayfield, who's now with Carolina. David Carr. And then we will have to contend with with Deshaun Watson in the last week. So not the most difficult schedule, but a team like us, the Steelers, we just have to get it together in this. So that's going to be it for this franchise reveal. How we're going to do this series is it will be a cut series like my old Madden franchises. So we'll have some cuts in here. I'll do a commentary during if it's important. Otherwise, it'll be post commentary after the fact, after I cut it. So we'll have some good commentary with that. I'll kind of flow through it. And we will have some good stuff with this franchise. I'm thinking about having a franchise that's kind of like Madden, but we kind of sit back and watch the games, more of a GM role, kind of like Football Manager, where we kind of make the decisions, and that's like a long-term, like hyper realistic. We got to overplay for players, build a team over 10 years or so, and that would be interesting with that one, and that'll really keep Madden fresh for the most part, or at least attempt to. So that'll be it for this one, guys. Thank y'all for joining me. Go ahead and leave a like below, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what your team for this year is in your franchise, or what you're doing with Madden this season. This will be our franchise, and we will have some fun. Later, guys.